So my name is Elia. I'm here for the interview with Elia, the GOAT, legend of DG, and an amazing musician himself. What's up, Elia? How's everything going, bro?
Hello, hello. What's up? Everything's going well. Excited to be here. Thank you for this interview and hosting me today.
I'm glad to hear that, bro. So Elia, I don't know if what have you heard about Ant Ant Radio and what we're doing. Like before we start the interview, I would like to ask you that. You
Yeah, I
maybe
did.
weren't expecting this, but I want to hear from you. What have you heard?
I did. Melito was showing me his concepts and ideas, and props to him for putting all this together, especially in the time frame he did. I was really impressed. But he was sending me stuff like, what do you think of this color scheme and this font and all this stuff? And yeah, I'm really impressed to see how it's all come together. It's really cool.
I'm glad to hear that. So, bro, thank you for being here for this interview. And basically, you're here not only because of your legend status in DG, but also because of your musical skills. So, what do you say if we start this interview by diving into that? Like, what can you tell me about your music? How long have you been doing that? Or, what's up with that?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I liked to write a lot. I kept journals. I really enjoyed writing class. I used to write a lot of poetry, and when I got a little bit older, a lot of my friends were, in the music scene. I got a couple friends that were just musicians playing instruments, and we always used to go hang out together. One of my friends had a studio built in his house, so we just go in there and I'd watch everybody jam. I'm not uh I'm not very talented with an instrument. I've tried attempting a couple instruments to play, but I just never had the ability or the patience, I guess, to learn. So I would always write. And at one time I was writing a song or I was writing a poem actually, and I had this beat playing in the background, and I thought it kind of fit real well together. So I formed it to the beat itself, and I showed it to my friend that sent me the beat, and he was like, "Dude, we got to go to the studio right now and record this." So he took me over to the studio, and that was the first song I ever recorded. And from there, I was just addicted to it. I'm like, this is such a better way to uh, put my art out there for people to enjoy, or even for myself. I look at it as a photo album where you can go back and listen to that moment and relive those experiences, relive that moment. If people were there, you just remember having those people around. It's also good. A lot of my friends are like, man, I just put on that song the other day. It was on my playlist and it just randomly popped on. And I just remember that good time we had. And it just brings back all the memories. And that's kind of why I enjoy doing it, just to capture that moment and share those experiences.
I remember us having a conversation previous to this interview where we had kind of an approach to this same subject. And I told you that it works the same way for me with food. Eh, You laughed a little bit, but I've been thinking about it like a lot. Today I cooked something that reminded me of my grandma, and it's just amazing how these things work out. No, now
Yeah.
let me ask you something because I do need to ask you this. Like I can understand now why and where the music came from, right? But where did your cryptid journey started? How did you came up to be where you are, bro?
So it is quite the journey, and I can go on about it forever, but I'll give you the short version. So I grew up in
The Elia version, not the short version, the Elia version.
the goat version. I
Yeah.
I I grew up in around Philadelphia, South Jersey. My parents are both from Greece, so I was first generation born here.
Okay.
Um, I went to school for accounting and writing. I was good with numbers and stuff, but I didn't enjoy it. Um, I got a job working in an accounting department. I hated it. So I decided I wanted to change. I needed something different. So I packed a bag. I grabbed all the money I had saved up, which was about $1,500,
Enough.
and I
Enough.
was,
Enough to leave.
and that's it. I moved to California. I didn't know anybody out here. I never even been out here before. I just packed my bag and left.
Holy shit! Like you just went for it. All in.
I
This
just
was your
totally.
first all in. You would
Well,
say like.
I knew what I wanted to do was get involved in cannabis because on the East Coast during that time it was a really taboo subject. But I liked smoking cannabis a lot back then. It was like, it freed my mind, made me look at things from different perspectives, creativity that came from it and everything. And I was also writing a lot about, supporting legalization and all that. Ask me that question today, and I'll tell you that
It's a different perspective.
I hate it. I hate legalization. It ruined it. But anyway, so I knew that I wanted to get in the cannabis field.
It's a hot topic. It's a very hot topic.
And I knew that California was the place to be at that time. So I moved out here. I was living in San Francisco in the Bay Area for a little bit. I found couches to sleep on. I was working a little bit. I had this job that was far as hell. I had to ride my bike like 12 miles a day to get there and all this other stuff. Eventually I landed a job in a legal weed store where they sell weed, a dispensary. And they paid me cash, which was nice. But it still wasn't I was barely scraping by, but I didn't want to go back home. I knew there was nothing back home for me. I knew that whatever I was going to do, I was going to do it here. One day I ran into a friend of mine from the East Coast, just totally random. He was one of the guys I used to buy my weed from. So he goes, he's like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing out here?" Blah blah blah. I told him, and he's like, "Hey, you want to take a ride up to the mountains in Northern California with me?" I was like, "Hell yeah, say no more." So we got in the car, went up there to the mountains. We went to a cannabis farm. Stayed there the weekend. The guy asked me if I wanted to trim some weed for him, so I spent all night trimming weed. I loved it. I was surrounded by it. I never seen this much weed before in my life, and I got paid incredibly well for that weekend. I made a stupid amount of money that weekend, and I was like, all right, this is it for me. Like I just pretty much stayed up there. That spring, that was over the winter, like Christmas, New Year's. That spring, I ended up staying up there and started working in the fields. I started managing different gardens. We started growing like different properties all over the mountains. And in this area, it's a lot of old school generation cowboys, farmers, loggers, people like that. And it took a long time, not long time. It took a few years for people to accept me in their community. It's a really tight knit community up here, and they don't they don't like outsiders, especially ones that come to try to think they're going to get rich and make a bunch of money. So after a couple of years, I started getting the respect of some of these older, the OGs basically. They started teaching me a lot of their skills and a lot of their telling me about their experiences. I learned so many different skills. And I, became, the young guy up here that had that drive and that ambition. After a few years, like 4 or 5 years after that, I bought my own property. I worked my ass off and saved a good chunk of change and was able to buy my own place. So I went from, leaving home with a suitcase and $1,500 in my pocket. 5 years later, I got my own house. And that was just the drive, the ambition, the motivation that, I wanted to do something. I put my mind to it and I made it happen. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, a lot of missing home, a lot of just everything. But
I can
at the end,
relate to that, bro. I can
I knew
relate.
I knew what I had to do, and I did it. And then so fast forward a little bit, I bought this property. California votes to legalize cannabis. So I went through the whole process of going legal. Got my license. Was growing weed legally. Now I got that ambitious mindset again. So I decided to focus on an aspect of the industry that wasn't really being focused on. Like everybody was really caught up in the growing, caught up in the selling. What I wanted to get involved with was the processing, like from when you harvest the plant to getting it ready for
Or the
wholesale.
final consumer, right?
Yeah. So and that's a very delicate and important process. From harvesting it correctly to drying it correctly to trimming it correctly. It's
Yeah,
it's
it's
it's very,
like
very
the most
important.
important, like the after you harvest the plant, the after process is the most important aspect of it. If not,
Just
what you're getting is a crappy final product,
yep.
regardless of the growing process. You know.
So I was trying to come up because for the longest time up until this point, everything was done kind of under the table. So nobody really figured out a way to bring processing up to an industrial scale, because that's what cannabis legalization became out here. Now all of a sudden everybody's doing it industrially big, a lot of plants,
Yeah,
a lot of labor, a lot of shit.
but just on the growing part, not on the processing part of the.
All of it, yeah. Processing, it was all done by hand. You'd have a couple hundred people sitting there trimming by hand. Like, this isn't going to work, especially now with huge farms. People need this done.
Yeah,
So I incorporated my own methods. Machines weren't really popular because they messed up the bud, and it makes it worth less, and it's just not good for the bud itself. So I linked up with this one guy who had his own version of a machine that was way more delicate. It was more hand action machine. It sped up the process a lot. It got the buds down to the level you would want them trimmed. And then I took it 10 steps further. I put like a conveyor system. I put these chutes, and I built this whole system out. So I'd have the
like a production
machine, the bud, and then I'd have a bunch of people standing around the conveyor belt, and they would do the final little cleanups. So I took this idea. I went down to Santa Rosa, and I worked at this distribution place. So they were opening this place up, and they wanted to do distribution, processing, and packaging. They didn't have a processing department, so I went down there and talked to them. They didn't have any department, actually. We built this from the ground up. One of my buddies that is actually here in DCL, Boofer, shout out Boofer. He was involved in the packaging side of it. So as good as I was at processing, he was that good at putting it in the jars and figuring out industrial ways to put it in the jars. We did that, and we built this business from the ground up. I started my department, hired a bunch of people. I eventually trained a manager to take over the department because me and Boofer were doing 20 things at once. We did the accounting, we did the distribution, we did the packaging, we did the processing.
Because we're all over the place, basically.
We were killing it. Eventually, a couple different things happened that made us quit the industry. I mean, for one, it got way too corporate. Two, the legalization completely ruined any ability for the small farmer to make a living. So it became very, very corporate.
Plus in California, you have all this money and all these big players.
All the big players,
they were come in and just spend big bucks and not
they were pushing the little guys out. So it was time for that. In combination with a couple other things, we decided to walk away from the industry. Now, during that time, we used to live together. We worked together. I would come up to the farm on the weekends. but during that time, we had a lot of clients. In fact, a lot of the clients we had were a lot of the relationships I built up here, like the people that decided to go legal. I helped them go legal. I helped them with their paperwork. I helped them get into the system. And we had a lot of connections that we would, we'd have a lot of the clients. They would come down and see us. And from here to Santa Rosa, it's like 4 hours. Like I live in the middle of nowhere. It's like 3 hours to the grocery store for me. And so we used to take these guys out because they used to come down, drop off their product for us to process. And then we used to take them out to the casino and play poker. It was like every week we had this tradition. We'd take a couple clients out to the casino, play some poker, hang out, get friendly,
chill and talk to them,
do the work. And it was cool. Once COVID hit, it was it shifted things a lot. So we had to in fact, I ended up buying my own poker table, and we brought it to the house that we were staying at. We just play poker there. Once we decided to leave the industry, I went back home, and this is at least 10 years after I started. I was just completely burnt out and needed just something different.
You need to regroup, basically. You were regrouping.
Yeah, I needed a reset. I was just going so hard for so long. I was just like, you know what? I'm starting to hate weed now.
You need to stop, bro.
So I'm like, all right, you know what? So I come back home, and out here, like I said, I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's no casinos out here. There's no grocery store. There's nothing. So I was bored. I didn't know what to do. So I was, playing poker on my phone, but it wasn't fun because it's free and nobody takes it seriously. Like I kept missing that, connection. So then I started hearing about, cryptos. At that time, it was it was actually during the time of the whole GameStop thing. And then then Dogecoin started getting some attention. And that was actually one of my first investments was Dogecoin. I bought into that hype. I actually did sell it at a good time. So I did make a little bit of money off of that. But I started looking into this stuff a lot more. And me just being a naturally, just interested person,
driven person.
I started focusing on this stuff. And then I read a news article about working in a casino in the metaverse. I'm like, whoa. First of all, what is a metaverse? And second of all, it's a virtual world that people are getting jobs in. And what's up with this casino? I want to go see this. So I log in, I log on, I go online. I landed in Tominoya, and from there, I was just like, wow, this is cool, man. I met some of the people that worked there. Some of
if I may ask.
They were
are still working now. That like part of the team.
People from the team that are still here too. I mean, Spicy, Sauce, Vexo. Shout out Vexo. He was one of the first people that he actually gave me the tour around the casino and showed me like what you could play. Yeah, he did. You could play blackjack and roulette and this and that. And they had the poker tables. They didn't even have the poker tables in that casino. They had them across the street somewhere in the corner. Like nobody paid attention to them. And he just kind of quickly was like, oh, and there's a poker room over there. So I'm like, wait, why is nobody playing poker? Let's play some poker. So, we get a couple of the guys together. There wasn't many people there at that time. It was like maybe 20 people at a time. And we get some of the guys together. We go play poker. And then this became a tradition. Like every couple days or every day, I would log on, be like, hey, what's up, guys? Let's go play some poker. Let's go play some poker. And it was just free. It was just fun to sit there and talk to people. And plus, I wanted to know more about the metaverse and crypto industry. So we would just, bullshit. And eventually that, it started gaining some popularity, and we decided to they decided to host tournaments in Tominoya. So they moved the poker tables over to the casino where the traffic was. We did tournaments for like $25 in prices or free wearables, stuff like that. But it was fun. People would go sign up on Discord and play in that day's tournament, and we'd all have fun. And it got to grow bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where it's like, all right, well, we might have something here. And then that's when they decided to the ice poker concept.
Oh, so you were there for like from the
Wasn't
Genesis.
sure whether I wanted to, totally commit, but I was just always there. I was like one of the people that basically worked there already. Um, and when Ice Poker came out and I saw the kind of volume and the help they needed, I was like, hey guys, why don't you sign me up? I'm here to help. So they brought me onto the team, and here we are.
That's actually a very good summary of your crypto
That's
journey to
that's the goat
on
version.
stage. That's the good version. Yeah, that's the good version. Thank you for sharing that with us, bro. Now, as far as the like the way I see this, at least, just correct me if I'm wrong at any point. Just describe like a huge process you went through, like everything you have answered so far in this interview has led me through a process you went through in life. And I just gotta ask you this because I've been listening to your music a little bit. I went through, some of your things, and I found this thing called trust the process.
Trust the process. That
It sounds
was
like a guy who really, really, really trusts the fucking process, bro. I'm on your team. Like I know why they call you the go down.
it's all about
I
believing,
played
man.
Ultimate Frisbee myself. Um, I've always been part of a team played sport, team based type of thing. I don't get me wrong. I love playing poker. Like I'm a very competitive person, and
It's
poker is all
that
about skill. Poker. You play poker, you play the cards, and you're not playing the cards. It's a skill based game. No,
you got to play the cards you're dealt, and that's kind of the metaphor for this.
you gotta play the cards you're dealt. You don't need to play the cards you're dealt. You can play
Right.
your attitude. You can play your confidence. You can play many things besides your
It's a
cards.
it's a mixture of different
That's
things.
why it was ruled by an American court as a skill based game.
Yes,
It
it is.
was, it was.
So
So
this trust the process was, it was a song I wrote. Me and my buddy Dean that's on it, and basically what the idea is and like throughout my life it's always been, even though you're unsure of the end goal, even though you're unsure where the road is going, as long as you're doing what you want to do and staying on that path, you just got to trust yourself and trust that
yeah,
process. And
right.
and that was really true when we did this cannabis thing, because we were doing something that nobody else ever did. Granted, other industries have their, similar things, but specific to cannabis, nobody ever did the stuff we were doing. So it was all new. And you got a lot of people that you were trying to work with us and blah, 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 and they didn't understand the vision. But that's what I always used to tell them, is trust the process. And then, once things start shaping up and forming, then you actually get to see it. But when you're in that moment, you don't see the whole vision. You don't see, what the end result is. All you see is the next challenge. So you have to trust yourself and trust that process to be able to get there.
Musical wise, like from the musical aspect, like how would you say that trusting the process defines what you do or defines your product as a musician? Like I can see, like this is just my personal opinion. Like I can see the amount of hours you've spent on every song I've listened to. But if you were to explain this to a person who has never listened to you, like how would you explain them this in a very simple way? Like how would they understand that this is a process for you? Like literally, you just told me at the beginning, each song is like a memory. So I'm betting myself. Like I'm betting. I'm not gonna say what I'm betting because we're in an interview, but um, I would say that each song you've ever produced or made has an incredible amount of hours behind, or at least an incredible amount of thinking process behind. So I think it's fair to ask that question. Like how does this process impact your music and your production?
To be honest with you, it's not really as much time as you would think. Not I mean, let me clarify that. Writing a song, because I'm writing about an experience, it actually doesn't take that much time because I'm literally just writing about a moment, an experience, something that just happened, a story, a joke, whatever it is. But I already have that idea, I already have that experience. I'm just putting it down on paper. So that part isn't really. It doesn't take that long because I'm trying to catch the moment while it's still fresh in my head. Yeah, like the production behind it does take a while, especially because I'm not a professional producer by any means. I don't make beats, but I do record, mix, edit. I do everything else to the best of my
You're
ability.
producing your own music, right? Like, just correct me if I'm wrong at any point, but you do produce your own music.
I do.
Or
I
I
do all the mixing. Yeah,
think you guys help at some point, but you do most of the job yourself.
I
Most
do
of
pretty much everything except make the beat. I buy the beats. I license
that
them.
that for me is like that's what I was referring to. Like, I'm not necessarily talking about the writing process because I'm not an artist myself, but I do paint myself sometimes and draw, and I can either take a month to paint something, or I can take 6 hours. Like if I really dive into it, it all comes down to like what I want to do. But if I want to do something like that reflects the quality of what I want to do, I really need to put in the hours. Like 6 hours is just not gonna cut it, even if I have an amazing concept.
Yeah,
Like the extra hours, the refining hours. This is what makes something good great.
that's the
And
part I would say is frustrating for me because not being a professional producer, yeah, writing the song is one thing, but the way it's recorded, the way it's mixed, the way other people hear it is very important too. And
yeah,
that is the part where I do spend a lot of time unnecessarily sometimes because somebody with experience would be able to get it to sound like the way I want. But that's where I spend a lot of time tinkering and trying to get these sounds and like trying to get this mix right and being a perfectionist. Sometimes, I mean, I got a whole folder here full of unfinished projects because I get to a point where I get either frustrated or my skills just end at that point. I'm like, I gotta work.
it's good that like this is good for your process. I think like eventually, like being involved to this point will allow you at some point to just hand over control. I think it's a process. Like at some point you need to hand over control. If you like, I this is my personal point of view. Just don't take this the wrong way. Like, but I think that there's a point in your life, in your professional life, at least from my experience, where if you want to take it to the next level, you need to submit it to objective criticism. If not,
Yeah,
you will not allow yourself to just go to the next level. It's just the barrier you need to put yourself into and face it, to overcome it. Otherwise, it's just not possible. Like
no, I
objective
agree.
criticism just take you to a whole new level.
I
Maybe this
totally.
is something for you in the future. You think? Maybe.
I would do something like that right now. If any producers are interested in mixing my music, let me know.
I'm gonna do everything I can to connect you with any producer out there, or to anybody willing to take your music to a whole new level. If you are willing to do that with them, of course.
Totally open to it. I'm always open to everything. I'm not. I try not to be. I'm an I see. I like to see. I'm an opportunist. So if I see an opportunity, I'll take it and run with it and see what happens. So,
How amazing things in life just come from an opportunity, basically. Like my grandpa used to say something like, in Spanish. Obviously, I'm just gonna translate it for you. It's like, not a single good story ever started with a salad. Something like that. Uh, so what are you working for right now? Like or working on right now, music wise? I know you have a couple things cooking in the oven, but what is the next thing we should expect from you in the near future?
So music wise, I'm working on an album. I'm working on my second album. Um, I'd like to do music all the time. So sometimes I'll do a bunch of singles, stuff that I won't necessarily put on the album. But my process now is coming up with a theme for the album, which I have, and kind of curating, the type of songs or the type of stories I want to tell around that theme. So this theme is going to be more of a personal journey into my own like mind. So there's going to be, some stories of some of the adventures I was just talking about, some of the crazy stuff that's happened to me, some of the just weird stuff, and I'm going full weird, full weird with this one.
Don't say weird, bro. Like never weird when you open up yourself this way. Like I think that a thank you is entitled here. Like if you're willing to allow us in to this photo album of your life, someone needs to thank you for that. So thank you for that.
I appreciate
Now,
that.
Elia, let me ask you something. I'm sorry for being repetitive, but I want to go back to this Trust the Process song and this album specifically because it really caught my attention. It's a very interesting concept the way you built the album around of, if it makes sense. And I would like you to like just like if you don't want to go into detail on the album, that's okay. But what motivated you to create such an amazing masterpiece?
So that album we did during my time working down at in Santa Rosa, and our group of friends. One of my other friends that worked with us, he was also, we grew up together on the East Coast, and he was also a writer. We did a lot of music stuff in the past, and then he came out here to help me.
This is the
And
person who played the video, right?
he's the other one in the video, yeah.
Okay.
And he came out to help me. So we just, we'd have work during the day, and then I brought most of my equipment down, and we built the little studio up in the house that we were staying at. So we would work all day and then go in the studio all night. And we started writing this music. We would also throw a lot of crazy parties. So during these parties, we would always play beats and make music, and it was almost like a show. Like basically, we had all this set up down in the basement, and
Wait, like you would play for the people there? Like you guys would actually play for them, like in the party?
we would party with everybody upstairs for a little while, and then once we were feeling loose, we went down the studio, and it would be just me and him. We'd play some beats, and all of a sudden we'd have an idea, and we'd go record it, and then some people would hear it from upstairs and start coming down. Before you knew it, the whole party was down there just watching us.
This is the goat way.
It was a lot of fun, and a lot of so the whole idea of the album came about. We wanted to do it. We were doing a lot of psychedelics at the time, mushrooms and LSD, and a lot of different
amongst others, etc., etc., etc.
So the whole idea, the concept was to do a trip. We wanted to do like an audible trip, through these experiences. So the album itself is a journey. It comes in and it takes you up, and then it brings you down.
The album itself is the auditory trip you were just referring
to. Exactly. So, and every one of the songs on the album was written in a different mind state. And it actually came together really well. I mean, it was cool.
How long did it take you to produce the whole thing, if I may ask?
I'd say all in all, about a year. Trust the Process was actually one of the first songs we did together.
It was an actual process. Like you actually had to trust the process.
Yeah, no, we did. It was the Trust the Process video song we did first, and then we got to perform at the Cannabis Cup. They did a Cannabis Cup in Santa Rosa, and they invited us to perform on stage. And this was a funny story. They told us the way it was about. One of my friends was doing something, and he told us, "Hey, man, I got you some time on the stage to perform." This was like 2 days before the Cannabis Cup. We had no idea. So we had like 4 or 5 unfinished songs. They weren't mixed or anything. Like they were just rough recorded. So I brought the computer on stage, and as my friend was performing, we were sitting there trying to do some quick mixes on the computer while we're on the stage, and then we went live and did the show for them. And we opened with Trust the Process, which again in and of itself, that was like, all right, we're gonna do this. Whatever happens, happens.
Like you
We
literally
did the whole set. We put it all together on stage, and then went and did it. And it was awesome.
you go to the whole thing. God damn it, fucking them. This
And it
is
was
why they
fun.
go to the goat, Elia. This is
It was a lot of fun, man. So then we did the album, and then we started recording some of the videos for it. One of our friends is a professional photographer. He did actually both the videos that I shared there. Trust the Process one was, we went down to San Francisco, and we wanted to keep the theme of the song alive. It's also Trust the Process, but we also wanted to incorporate what we were doing at that time. So we took some LSD, and which is San Francisco is one of the best cities in the world to trip in, and we recorded this video throughout different spots of the city. My friend knows the city like the back of his hand.
Same day you recorded the thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We drove down there. We parked the car. We took some acid, and then we my friends live down there, and they know all the people. We went to bars that they know the owners and different places, and we shot the video, and then we just stayed and partied in San Francisco all night, and it was awesome. And the other one, I got another video, the Like Swami one. So that one, that guy's a legend too. He's one of the OGs of cannabis, and we got to work with him directly at the distribution place. We would process and package his cannabis for him. And he invited us up one day, as a thank you, like our whole crew and everything, and we had a great time. It was a cool little party. And after we worked with them,
like taking the growing plantation here in the mountains.
Yeah, after we worked with them for a few months, and then we wrote that song Like Swami, and because we were like really promoting him and working closely with him, and he was just such an awesome guy. And I ran. Swami is his name. Yeah. Well, he calls himself Swami. I don't even know his real name. And I called him. I said, "Hey, how do you feel about us doing a video at your spot?" We already recorded the song. We knew he was gonna say yeah. So we recorded the song. We played the song for him. He was like, "This is awesome, guys. Like, yeah, come up anytime." So we went up there and filmed the video in his garden, and that was awesome too. They loved it so much. His wife, she used to own a couple art studios in San Francisco. Ended up renting out, or it was her friend. So basically, we got to. She did a listening party, a release party for the video there. So we got to hang out, and it was one of the biggest art studio names in San Francisco, and we got to do the release party of the video there. They loved it.
Amazing. That's why I guess I keep just finding reasons why they call you the goat. This can keep going on and on and on. So Elia, like I would love to extend this conversation, but we're getting close to an end. Any final questions for the DG audience out there? Any words for a particular team member? Anything you would like to share with the audience?
I just want to shout out everybody that's just been supportive and helpful, and has allowed me to use my skills and help better everybody, whether it be through working on the staff and helping out there, or even providing entertainment, creativity, just whatever it is. I just appreciate everybody and their support. Much love goes out to, there's so many people to name, but I'll try, Spicy, Sauce, Vexo, the brother Milito, who put all this together, everybody from the team, just and the community as well. I mean, we wouldn't be anything without the community. So I really appreciate everybody for showing all the love and support. And you guys have motivated me to make more music. So expect a lot more of my future music to capture some of the experiences that we're all having right now.
That right there just made my day. So I thank you for that. And I genuinely hope this is the first of many interviews with you, bro.
I'm excited, man. I'm here. You let me know. I'll be back anytime.
It's been a pleasure, Elia. You have a good day, bro. Thank you for this. Take care, my man. Bye-bye.
Later.
Okay.